City won the treble, Declan Rice won't win the treble. Welcome back to another video. Eventful few hours, eh? Crazy 12 hours or so in the world of Manchester City Football Club. It broke last night, of course, that Arsenal had bid for Manchester City's target, Declan Rice. Then it was rejected. But this morning it broke again that Declan Rice is no longer a Manchester City target after City deemed a bit too much money. And then, according to breaking reports, City are now in for Gabri Veiga. It's all kicking off, basically, in the world of Manchester City Football Club. Hello to you all joining this video. Please do hit the like button. Please do help support the channel by subscribing if you want to keep chatting. All things Manchester City Football Club. It's good. It's good. Life is very, very good. I'm not... Look, the Arsenal fans are going to come over here and talk about Declan Rice. I will give you my absolute honest opinion, and I have the receipts to prove it. I'd come round to the idea of the signing. I had done. I'd come round to the idea. I got reasonably excited for it. But I've also got on record. I've got the tweets to prove it, and I'll bring them up. You know, I'll bring them up just to prove it as well. I do have the tweets to prove it, saying I just didn't at one point get Declan Rice. You know, I just didn't. I thought he wasn't necessarily a Manchester City kind of player, and here it is on screen right now proving it. You know, I said I feel like I'm missing something. That was back in March. I tweeted about a week ago when we were interested in him. And there's what I said, a very good player. Is he smart enough for City? Pep's great sides have always been built around technical fielders. Is Rice really that? That's how I felt. And about a week ago when we went through, I tweeted Rice, hey. And then about a few days after that, I thought, I'm coming around to the idea. And then I wrote an article thinking why you could work at Manchester City. And I did come around to the idea. I started to thought, you know what? Well, maybe we'll do this with him, actually. Maybe we'll change our player. Maybe we'll do that. And I thought, you know what? It could be quite good. But he's never been my number one choice. Not even remotely. Not even remotely my number one choice. The thing is for me, is like he isn't a Manchester City player currently in terms of style. Declan Rice is a fantastic player. But the idea that, you know, he was always my first choice, no, not at all. So as soon as this news came up about them bidding 105 million, I was like, I'm not arsed if we don't go for him. I'm just not arsed. I genuinely mean it because we have Rodri. Rodri is a cut above Declan Rice, and I already see some flapping in the comments as always. This idea that we haven't got a plan. Manchester City always have a plan. That's why we win trebles. That's why we win 100 points. That's why we get the domestic quadruple. City always have a plan. City don't sign players. City sign good footballers, and then they fit a system around them. If all of a sudden we're not signing Declan Rice, we're turning for Veiga instead, we'll go, well, we don't need a double pivot. We'll play Rodri there, and we'll play attacking midfielders instead. Pep is smart enough to work with it. Like, it's just, it's definitely not, because it's definitely not a situation that City only go for one type of midfielder. City will just sign good players and make it work. That's what they always do, you know? It doesn't matter if they're similar or not, you know? It doesn't matter if the players are similar or not. City will just sign good footballers who fit into Manchester City's ethos and make it work. You know, it's that simple. It's that simple. There are many different ways to achieve the same goal. If they're technical, if they're excellent, it'll work. Basically, so City have dropped out of Declan Rice. Yeah, I was a little bit disappointed. I was a little bit disappointed. Initially, it was one of those things where, like, yeah, Declan Rice, I got around to the idea. But at the same time, look, we don't need Declan Rice. Declan Rice would have been a decent signing, but he would have had a lot to learn at Manchester City Football Club. I don't think Declan Rice, and I really hand on heart believe this, I don't think he would have come in straight away and changed anything for Manchester City. I believe that he would have got really good over time. He would have been excellent over time. Genuinely excellent. But he wouldn't have come in and fitted in the way that Kovacic has got to come and fit. Kovacic right now is a better Manchester City player than Declan Rice. That's not me trying to be edgy. It's just genuinely true. Kovacic suits City style. Declan Rice doesn't. Declan Rice could get there. And when we got Kovacic in, Kovacic, by the way, is a much more established player than Declan Rice. We just sort of need to be aware of that. He is, for what it's worth, a proven Champions League winner. Declan Rice is a cracking player, but he's got a lot to prove still at the highest level, you know? That's a very honest and fair assessment, in my personal opinion. And I know some people are more of a fan than not. But then we go to someone like Veiga. Look, people, Nico, I know you're a moaner. Nico, what I would say, Nico's in the chat, you presume the worst in every scenario ever. You have to admit that, right? You're always worried. You are literally always scared of everything. Yet City still win time and time again. Have you not learned that City just know what they're doing by now? You know, and the way as I see it is like Gabri Veiga is a very different kind of footballer. He's a very different kind of footballer. He is. He just is. I can admit that. But City, what they will say is, look, if you get Declan Rice, we play a double pivot maybe. If we don't get Declan Rice, Stones plays more as a midfielder, and we bring in another attacking midfielder instead. Like they don't. Brillo said, let's not don't get things wrong. Everyone gets things wrong, but how often? Who gets it? Who gets it less wrong than Manchester City? No one. Manchester City get things more right than any other team in world football. And he's saying your number one there is Wirtz. Well, Wirtz, I reckon if you were in for Wirtz, you'd be excited, mate. But he's the exact same kind of player as Veiga, an attacking midfielder. So the thing is, Kovacic has come in to play as a double pivot. Kovacic can do exactly what we want him to do alongside Rodri. He can do. He'll be excellent there. And then we can play with Veiga or a Foden ahead of him over De Bruyne. Like, we've got the players already. Declan Rice would bring something different and it'd be nice. But our season did not rely on Declan Rice. It absolutely doesn't, you know? I think this Manchester City side has the quality. Look, the way I look at it, as long as we give the tools to Guardiola to do something special, then I'm happy. So let's talk about obviously this breaking news and so on. It came via Jack Gordon today about City pulling out of the race. Jack Gordon tweeted that City are out of the race with Declan Rice. It's just £305 million. It was an awful lot of money. I don't mind City pulling out for that kind of money. It is fantastic. Fantastic, but it is a lot of money. I'm old school this way. I don't think essentially a defensive midfielder when we've got the best in the world, Rodri, that doesn't. I don't know, 105 million for a defensive midfielder. It does feel an awful lot when you've already got the best defensive midfielder in world football. It would be excellent, but it just felt a lot. I don't think I'm old school that way. I don't think defensive midfielders should be 105 million unless they are the best in the world. And Declan Rice is not the best in the world in his position. 90 million? Well, I even thought 90 million was too high, Michael, if I'm being honest with you, mate. I just think it was. I think it wasn't too high. But it was not my money, you know. And if City had bid 105 million, I wouldn't complain. But I understand it, you know. Like, it's a fucking lot of money. It's just crazy. Then, of course, Jack's just retweeted this about Gabri Veiga as well, because City are backing for Gabri Veiga. And the breaking news has come from Fabrizio Romano that City have now entered the race for Celta Vigo's Gabri Veiga. The Spaniard is one of the options be considered after pulling out the race with Declan Rice. The player has a £40 million release clause. That's Manchester City in a nutshell, isn't it? Veiga is a very talented footballer. I've only watched clips of him. I've watched what he can do, and I guess City see a really creative, really skillful player. What I like about Veiga actually is it's a sort of that's in pounds. That's about 32 million, 33 million, I think, isn't it? Veiga is potential. He is. He's forward planning, and I watch him, and there is an element you could say Ferran Torres or whatever. It could be might not adapt, but you can say that about any player. You know, I think it's probably a little bit unfair just to presume because one Spanish young player didn't quite adapt, another won't either. It doesn't always work that way. You know, you could turn around and say we could be getting, you know, a potential world class player. He's literally Bruno Fernandes 2.0. I would turn around and say, if you could get a young Bruno Fernandes right now for 30 million for 21 years old, you'd take it in a heartbeat, because Bruno Fernandes has a lot, and I can say this as a City fan, Bruno Fernandes has lots of very good qualities, but he's not refined and he forces things. Guess who's the best coach in the world at making players pick the passes a little bit better and not forcing things? Pep Guardiola. Fernandes is a fantastic passer when he gets it right, and he's a fantastic work rate, and he also is a very good finisher. But he's unrefined in a Manchester City sense. But he's a chance creation machine. Bruno Fernandes from a young age with Guardiola would be a 10 times better player than he is now, but he already has the technical skills, but he just doesn't have the decision-making skills. So that's what I would say. If he's anything like him for £30 million as a young player, I would say that's actually... That's great. And he said we don't need a project, we need established midfielder. We've just signed Kovacic, and we've got De Bruyne, and we've got Rodri, and Foden will play central. We've got Bernardo Silva as it currently stands. Kovacic, why are we forgetting Kovacic? Kovacic is like excellent. We're acting like Kovacic is this just a meh signing. Kovacic could genuinely be world class again under Guardiola. Like the way I see it is Veiga Looks like a really exciting player. Can we stop saying Pep's going to make someone better? No, because he does. Well, why would I just ignore one of Pep's strongest traits? Nerland's saying, can we stop just saying that? No, because it's sort of true. Like, he pretty much does always improve players. There's always going to be the odd exception, but he does improve players because, he's a fantastic manager. Look, the way I see it, my general view on these things is, as long as we have the numbers in the squad and the players are good, you can't, by the way, you're talking about Kimmich, Brillo saying you want Kimmich or Mount. Mason Mount is not a better footballer than Kovacic. Like, I really like Mason Mount too, but he's not a better footballer than Kovacic. You can't talk about saying we need a big player and then talk about Mount and not, like, Kovacic is easily as good as Mount. Easily. And some people would say he's better. But anyway, but when you talk about my view of these is, as long as you have the numbers for Guardiola and the players are of good quality, I think Guardiola will make it work. Look what he did with Zinchenko years ago and Fabian Delph years ago. And I really don't mind the idea of young talented players coming in to be semi-project players. But this is not a Sergio Gomez scenario, man. This is not like some random kid plucked from an obscure league. This is a guy, who's 21 years old. He's played 2 years of La Liga football at this point. He's not some totally raw kid. He's not a totally raw kid, is he? So he's definitely got potential to get better at Manchester City, but also he understands top level football. He actually genuinely does. Kovacic is brilliant, but he's not relevant to discussion. Of course he is, mate. Because as it stands, we can't talk about Declan Rice being a Gundogan replacement because he isn't a Gundogan replacement either. He's very different. So Kovacic is different to Gundogan, but Kovacic is a much closer player to Gundogan than Declan Rice is, and we'd all admit that. So there's very much an argument that Kovacic could be a direct replacement for Gundogan. They're different, but they're less different than Declan Rice is. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we've already signed. If City came out and gone, Kovacic is a Gundogan replacement, some of you might not like it, but there's an awful lot of sense to that, you know. I really like Florian Wirtz as well. Wirtz would be great. To me, I like the idea of Wirtz. He's a cracking player, so skillful and elegant. He would probably be my number one choice of a young creative midfielder to come in. But look, I really do believe it. I did a video when I had a bunch of midfield signings. Let me just try and find who I put on this video. I did 7 players. It's just brilliant you disagree. What about Rice is close to Gundogan? I honestly don't see it, mate. Declan Rice is an aggressive defensive midfielder whose main attributes are his physicality and his long galloping strides. He's aggressive but Gundogan's main attributes are his close technical control, his 360 vision of the pitch, his creative link-ups around the box, and his goal scoring. They're so different players. Gundogan is a million miles away from Declan Rice. I don't see it. I just don't see the comparison at all between Declan Rice and Gundogan. They're totally different footballers in every single way, in my opinion. Declan Rice right now is mainly physical, and he obviously has technical abilities too. But Gundogan is pure technical ability. Kovacic is much more similar. I don't see it, Brillo. We agree to disagree, mate. I just don't see it. I can never pronounce Sabozliai's name, but I like him too. Very good footballer. McAtee could come back as well. Look, I'm not trying to fuck with you all here. I'm genuinely relaxed. I don't. By the way, I also don't pay attention to what Chelsea fans think. They're a mess of a club and absolute shambles. Chelsea had them as their player of the season a couple of years back. Just because they messed it up, it's not our problem. I am honestly just relaxed. I trust his Manchester City side. Maybe because we just won a treble. Maybe because every single time I go, I don't understand that transfer. A Kanji. I was wrong. Or we go, we didn't get Koulibaly. We didn't get Koundé. Guess what? We got Ruben Diaz and we won. We didn't get Maguire years ago. And guess we didn't get Sanchez, but then we got Mahrez, We didn't get Cucurella. Oh, no. And then we won a bloody treble. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I am bored of presuming the worst case scenario because we are Manchester City and we have Pep. I know it's that simple, but it's like it is that simple for me. Like, I just presume that City understand what they can and can't do. It really does feel that way for me. Every time I perceive a weakness, we fix it, and maybe there's an element of because it's Guardiola. But do you really think that the coach? I think the staff are probably aware of that as well. Like, it shouldn't be on Guardiola to magic it up all the time, but he's there, so they sort of let him do. It won't be that way when Guardiola goes. I suspect. It's interesting you feel that way, Brillo, because you obviously a Declan Rice fanboy, but I'm trying to be honest with you. I've always felt Declan Rice is a bit limited. I watched Declan Rice for England, and I didn't get it. My biggest problem with Declan Rice for England is that he gets caught on the ball. He doesn't show for the ball either from receiving it from the defence. That's what's always bugged me about Declan Rice. Calvin Phillips is actually the one for England who shows for the ball, and Rice hides a little bit. As much as he's a very good player, and I think he'd learn under Guardiola, that's always been his biggest weakness. And I've always thought he's got loads to improve. Loads of qualities too, but I've always felt like for Manchester City signing, I thought he was always a bit. That's my one reservation I had about Rice. Like, he's not a guy who shows for the ball, so I never really got that. But, we'll see. It's not happening anyway. So, super chat from Cundinho. Says, typical cheeky release clause merchant, target Veiga. Well, yeah, I guess. The problem is when you're Manchester City Football Club, it's hard to get players for cheap, isn't it? So, I don't mind who's he signed over release clause? Rodri, Haaland, who else is there? Come on, Laporte, was he one as well? Grealish. They've done all right with these release clauses, mate, haven't they? So I'm not going to sit and moan about him because they sort of tend to work, Yeah, he is a merchant for them, but it sort of works. I think Stones is much better in midfield than Rice in terms of showing for the ball. Diaz a release clause as well. That turned out pretty well. Look, I wouldn't deny that Veiga has something to improve. I'm sure he does, and I can't pretend to be an expert on him. But he's got a lot of talent. He generally has got an awful lot of talent, so I have to say it's going to be wild. But what I would implore to everyone just to relax, and not worry about it. Like, if I look at midfield options right now, and then you try and work it out, like it isn't unstacked, Bernardo's not going anywhere as it currently stands. I've also got a feeling, by the way, Bernardo might not go anywhere. This is my just current instinct based off. So we've got this. So we're going to sign Vardial, by the way. We'll sign Vardial. We've already got Kovacic. It's not bad, is it? It'll be something like this. We know it will be. Let's shape it out again. As it currently stands, it's going to be something like this as our options. Cover, Phillips. That'll be. Here will be Rodri, and then it'll be ahead of them. We'll have like Foden. It'll be something like this potentially. It might not even be this formation. I'm putting this was based off the idea of Rice coming. That'll be KDB or Bernardo, whatever. We've got the midfielders basically. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Stones as an option, literally. A bit further forward. It's gonna be. We've got midfield options. Gvardiol. Is that how it is? I don't know. I really like Mason Mount, by the way. I actually like Mason Mount. I think he could be a really good player under Manchester City, and I would really like City to go for Mason Mount. Seriously, I would honestly take Mason Mount. You might think I'm mad for that, but I do think Mason Mount under Guardiola would get back to the level he was a couple of years ago. Mount was Chelsea's Player of the Year 2 years in a row when Chelsea were actually good, by the way. So that says it all. When Chelsea were winning the Champions League, he was their Player of the Year. He's a mess now, but then Chelsea are a mess, man. I know exactly what it's like. But we all know what it's like. The best version of you is not really ever evident if you're not happy in life, or your team's terrible. And I do think Mason Mount and so many Chelsea players are victims of just terrible, terrible Chelsea management and terrible Chelsea ethos. Mount has been shuffled around as a winger, as a false nine, as a midfielder. Mason Mount is a number 8 who has great technical ability, who's an eye for goal, has a good pass and works really hard. He's out of form. But he just needs a manager like Guardiola. He's a smart footballer. Mason Mount is a really smart footballer. But we won't get him. But I would honestly take him. And I think Guardiola, once again, I would take Mount over Rice any single day. I really would do. That's my personal opinion. I think he's a more Manchester City footballer. I think he's proven in a Tuchel kind of system. I really believe that. I honestly would. I really rate Mount, and I get people don't, but I think he's a good footballer. But we won't sign him anyway, so that's the thing. I'm not slagging off Rice, Michael Nana, but I think Mason Mount's more of a Manchester City player than Declan Rice, stylistically. And I think he's more what we need as well as an 8. I actually think Mason Mount, if Mason Mount was in the Guardiola for a few years, I think he'd end up looking a lot more like Gundogan than you realise. Go and watch clips of Mason Mount from 2 or 3 years ago, and you'll be surprised how technical he is. He's a really good player, really smart player. Anyway, what I was going to talk about... we will see. I was going to mention something else, and I've totally forgot. I've lost my train of thought. Look, I am honestly relaxed. I'm genuinely relaxed. We've got a bunch of good players here. We've got, I don't get, Vardial, by the way. Is it Gavardi? Is it Vardial? I don't know how it's pronounced. I don't really know. Gavardial. He's a really exciting signing. This guy is, he's basically the complete defender with immense ball playing skills. Loads and loads and loads of technical ability. He definitely should be someone to be excited about. The more I've watched him, the more I've read about him, the more I think about him, he's just a superstar signing. Superstar. Like what you get if you have Stones, Gvardiol, and Diaz in a defence. My God, that is good. That is like, where will Laporte go? To another club, Jay Stark. He leaves Laporte in this scenario. I know what you mean. It's not exciting to sign another centre back, but but at the same time, who was excited about Kanji or Ake? And look where we gone. What about Ake? Oh, Ake rotates with Gvardiol, so it's simple as that, really, mate. We will be playing at 3 at the back, so 5 centre back sounds a lot, but when you play 3 at the back, it is what it is, man. You'll be playing, it'll be this, won't it? It'll be this kind of setup. These will be the options defensively. If we sign Gvardiol, it'll be that there. So Gvardiol or Ake, Diaz or Stones and Akanji over there. So it's going to be like that. They'll be the options defensively, and it's unbelievably good. I really, really rate him. I think he's a quality player. I would say Tivo Sensible Transfer shows defensive strategy pretty well. What do you mean, Alfie? Tommy reckons that Gvardiol is the Haaland of defenders, no exaggeration. I think he is too. Fofana's better. Where's he Fofana? Didn't he go to Chelsea for 90 million or nothing? Oh yeah, we're signing a guy who's going to have a legacy of anything that City you've got to be getting. Look, you're locking down your centre backs forever. But you're there free. But yeah, this is always improve if you can do. Well, if we change formation, Pep won't do, will he? Pep will just play back three. Yeah, but Pep will adapt the players around the formation, and it's going to be that kind of shape. It is. That's the shape it'll be. We all know it'll be this kind of shape here. And it works for us right now, so I don't see why we would change it. We just want to travel with it. It's going to be fascinating to see how this goes. I do want an attacking midfielder. I do want to see City come in and sign an attacking midfielder, something more creative. I know Veiga isn't the finished product, but let's read a scout report together. Let's try and be. Let me bring up Veiga scout report. Gabri Veiga scout report. So I'll read some scout reports about Gabri Veiga, and we'll have a think about him. Apparently, experts have been comparing him to Juan Mata. The one thing is, he's a very good dribbler, by the way. He's a really good finisher as well. but he can overdo it according to some reports where he dribbles a bit too much and gets caught out on the ball. He's had a decent start to the first season. 9 goals and 4 assists in his first full season, which is pretty good as well. But he apparently has got a really high number of unsuccessful dribbles, so he does force it a little bit, which is understandable. This is what Guardiola will have to change. So I'm going to go over to this kind of scout report here. He stood out as a player with awareness to play the ball forward. Plays as an 8 in a 5-3-2. So where is he on that graph here? Let's have a look. He's down here in the middle. He's down there. Aggressive passes aren't not the very best, but it's decent, For a young player in a team that aren't obviously one of the best, it's not bad at all. It's very average, actually, in terms of his ball progression. But better progressive runs per 90 than most. He's more of an energetic style, according to this report as well. Yeah, probably is more Bruno Fernandes-esque. Yeah, and as Alfie said, Celta Vigo are a more defensive team, so he's always under cost. So it makes sense to be a bit more direct. The thing is, what you look for is his control good? Can he pass a ball? Like, if his technical ability, if he's making the wrong passing decisions, fair enough. But can he actually control the ball? I haven't got time to read it obviously on stream with you guys, but he's got a good eye for goal. He's doing pretty well on that there. Up there with Isco. Finally, we're signing Isco. He's actually 4th in terms of touches. What's that stat? Touching the box per 90. So he's up there. He's got a high there. It's not bad that. It's obviously not level there with Pedri over there, which is great. But he's actually pretty high on this axis here, which is touches in the box per 90. So he gets forward an awful lot and receives the ball a fair bit. And shots per 90. He's pretty high up here as well in terms of shots per 90 and expected shots per goal. He's pretty good. Well, he's really high up there in the corner over here. So he's a good finisher, basically. We'll see. We will see. He absolutely would be. He's a good defender, apparently. Decent output defensively. He is work in progress, absolutely. But I do not mind that. I do not mind that. I don't mind it. Well, you will see how it goes, won't we? We'll see how it goes. If we sign him at all. Look what Asen just tweeted. What's Asen just tweeted? What's my man Asen just tweeted? Brillo. Look. It's going to be a long summer. Long summer. Fair enough. So basically, Asan, my friend, was saying this. It has its positives and negatives for sure. Big thing to remember is that winning Guardiola's trust is not an easy thing. Foden is infinitely further along his development. Veiga is just an all-round much better player. True. He still hasn't cemented a place and role in Pep's team. It's very true. Having a conversation with someone who writes about Spanish football and is based in Spain, saying Veiga's super raw and quite a long way from being ready for a Pep team. A definite long-term project rather than a guy for next season. Fair enough. Absolutely fair enough. We will see. We will see. He's raw. But it wouldn't be the first and he wouldn't be the last footballer to get him very much better very quickly surrounded by very good players. It happens, you know. They can just go from being raw to brilliant very quickly, or it could take an awful long time. There is no linear line for development. You know, some players get there quicker than others. Some players take a long time. We'll have to see that in that instance. I would admit everyone's talking about Kimmich and Mount and all that. Of course they're better players. I would take Kimmich in a heartbeat. I would take Mount in a heartbeat. I would do. But at the same time, you know, it is what it is, and I feel pretty relaxed about how City will go down with this. We've signed Kovacic already, so we're probably gonna sign Vardy, I reckon. We will see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Guys, thanks for watching this video. Let me know how you feel about Declan Rice and all that kind of stuff. I'll catch you live later on, no doubt, for another video as City declare interest in probably another player, or we bid for someone else and it drops out. We will see. There's probably more twists and turns. Guys, you're all awesome. Have a lovely day. I'm going to get some lunch. Bye-bye.